In this video, I'm going to explain why your drill bit won't drill, the 3 things that are holding it back from drilling, and I'm going to show you the #1 tool that you're missing that will make sharpening a drill something that you never dread again. Welcome back to the Spruce Stomper YouTube channel. Many men say they can't sharpen drill bits. Some even go to the extent to buy nifty gadgets that promise to do it for you. I'm gonna show you in this video that you're just lacking a tiny bit of theory and one very basic tool so that you can salvage your box of forgotten drill bits back into usable tools. Hey, and just a reminder, you gotta watch till the end of the video to see how the weird way I sharpened this drill worked. And you can trust that there's no trickery involved because I don't possess the editing skills to do that. This simple tool holds the key to your success, a simple drill gauge, a guide. Without this, boys, you're cooked. So to better understand why we're doing what we're doing with the gauge, of course, a little bit of theory goes a long ways, but like any good video, you don't jump into the dry stuff. Let's make the angle gauge first, and then we'll go over a few critical pieces of information so you understand why your drill never drills, no matter how long you stand at that grinder. Now, of course, I obviously already own one of these back from when I was a young lad in trade school. One of the first projects that we made on our way to becoming a machinist. These graduation marks, they're on there, but I'm going to show you that you can even get by without those. All right, low barrier to entry. Wood, right? Everybody has access to some sort of chunk of wood this size. It doesn't matter, gentlemen. You do want it wide enough in this direction so you got a good area to rest your drill bit upon. So keep this number in mind throughout the entire video. 118 degrees. All right, I'm going to show you that this does not have to be overthought. You got your pencil, your finger. You're going to need a straight line. Oh, I don't know, 6 inches long or so. As long as the longest drill, you think you're gonna be mucking with, it doesn't really matter. Now, half of 118 degrees is, of course, well, you do the math. I've already got my simple protractor set. Now, don't tell me you don't have one of these. Everybody has one of those Oxford tins of mathematical instruments from grade school that they forgot about and never really used other than to draw circles on the back of their notebook. So we're gonna need that. Use the same tool because you got it out. We'll set it at 90 because, things that are square are pleasant to work with. I'll cut that off there. Okay, that does that. A little bit of wood manufacturing tooling here. And just like that, you're the proud owner of a drill gauge. This, gentlemen, is going to clear up all the issues that you've been having with trying to sharpen that drill. Let's match it up with the Pro version here. Deadly. I've got a few things laid out here to help us on our journey. A diagram of both the side view and the top view of a standard twist drill. A couple brand new bits to look at, and our victims that require a little bit of rehabilitation. But if you're wondering if there's such a place that harnesses more information about drills, machining, machinery, hydraulics, bolts, nuts, screws, bearings, and everything else that you could possibly imagine that I don't have the knowledge to actually understand, the Machinery's Handbook. Gentlemen, this is a piece of literature and reference material that every man should own a copy of. Even if you're just the beginner. Speeds, feeds, tap drill sizes, an in-depth explanation of everything that you didn't even know you wanted to know about twist drills in this book. And I think any guy that's went through trade school for machining or millwright is gonna have a copy of one of these bad boys. All right, back to the 3 reasons why your drill doesn't drill, or it doesn't produce the size and condition of hole that you were hoping for. Let's have a look at this diagram. All right, a regular old twist drill is a very, very simple tool. And if you're curious, yes, I did draw that. I even did a little bit of shading for your viewing pleasure. Now you already probably know the basics. Of course, down here we have the drill diameter that tells you how big around the bit is for the size of hole that you're making, 1/2 inch, 1 inch drill. The point angle, which brings us to our first reason why your drill is not drilling properly. A lot of times folks get this incorrect. For general purpose drilling in wood, plastic, metals, for the most part, what was that angle? There are other angles for them to be sharpened at for different materials. Get yourself a machinery handbook, search the Google machine, you'll find out. The flute, of course, is the portion of the twist drill that carries your material up and out of the hole as you drill. This is the margin. You'll notice on the outside edge of a drill bit, you got this little stripe. It's a little bit different than the rest and it sticks out a little bit further. Of course, well, you need that. This is the margin. The body of the drill, of course, can't be all the finished diameter. If this was all 1 inch round, well, then the whole thing would rub and you'd have yourself nothing but a friction fire. So the number one reason that your drill doesn't drill how you think it should be drilling, you'll probably have this point angle wrong. 118 degrees is where you need to be. This next portion here labeled the heel of the drill, the relationship between the heel and the cutting edge of the drill is very critical. I would say right here in this portion of any drill bit is the number one. Are we on number two? It is the most commonly made mistake on sharpening a drill, and the very reason why it's not that it's not kind of drilling, it doesn't drill whatsoever at all. If this following edge, the heel of the drill, is higher, well, let me just show you. I think the simplest way to explain it, if this was the surface that you're trying to drill a hole in, and point A was your cutting edge, and point B was the heel of the drill. As you move in this direction to drill, well, the cutting edge is hanging out back here doing nothing, and all you're doing is rubbing. What do they say? If you're not rubbing, you're not racing. Not really applicable to drill bits, but it made me think of that. So this clearance or relief angle, the difference between the cutting edge and the heel of the twist drill, very important to success, and roughly about 12 degrees. If you're curious, you're probably never going to measure that, but it's best to keep in mind this point needs to be lower than the sharp side. All right, so we've covered the overall point angle of a twist drill at 118 degrees. We have covered the relief angle of a twist drill at roughly 12 degrees. Just keep in mind, gentlemen, that the cutting edge needs to stick up higher than the heel of the drill, or all you're gonna do is create yourself a rub situation. Now the third thing, the third error, or the third frustrating point that you're gonna run into a drill and you're sharpening is maybe it cuts really well, but it is not making a hole the size you thought it was gonna make. From the top down view on a twist drill, again, we have our margin, which refers to body diameter clearance. This is the amount of clearance between the body of the drill and the cutting edge so that this whole section just doesn't rub in the hole and generate a lot of friction and heat. This is your lip or cutting edge. And the center of the drill is referred to the web, and in even more technical detail, the very center is sometimes referred to as the chisel edge, because believe it or not, this needs to grind away its own little hole. There's no magic in drilling. Now your oblong or odd-shaped size hole is coming directly from these two surfaces not being the same length. From point A to point B and point A to point B on both sides of your drill, these need to be exactly the same. In theory, what happens when the two cutting edges are not the same length is one side is taking a heavier pass than the other side, causing the drill to wander, malfunction. If you get this ratio so far off, it may not even cut at all. Screw stomper. Well, how would I do that? I mean, it's hard to hold the twist drill and a tape measure, and it just gets very complicated. Well, eureka, now you've hit the jackpot and you've got the right tool for the job. How does it work? Well, it's simple. It rests on the body of the drill, or what did we just learn? The margin. And it simply checks the angle of the twist drill. Of course, this drill is brand new. How do I have a brand new twist drill? I have no idea. 118 degrees, 118 degrees. And now you can see why these graduations might be handy. Just like a tape measure, you can see which one this lines up with And when you flip it over to the other side, you can see that it lines up again, so you know that these are even, giving your best possible chance. What about the relief angle? Well, within the same tool, let's have a look. So the relief angle, again, is the relationship between the heel and the cutting edge of the drill. So if we look at this, this is our cutting edge, our leading edge of the drill, and this is what follows along after the fact. And that one has to be, if it'll focus, lower than this one. So you just simply use your drill gauge as a square, line it up with the edge of the drill. This doesn't have to be rocket science, and you can see flush there and the leading edge sticking up quite a bit more. So don't stress over it. It doesn't have to be rocket science. Again, most of us are just doing jobber type things in our garages at home. So as long as it drills a hole, it drills at the right diameter, you're good to go. Point angle, make sure that the heel is lower than the cutting edge, and make sure that those two cutting surfaces, your leading edge of your drill, are the same length. And for heaven's sakes, get a ruler and mark some denominations on your newly made drill gauge. Let's sharpen some drill bits. So what I've done is went ahead and prepared 3 varieties, 3 flavors of drill bit, and as you can see, well, that probably is not going to drill a dang thing, because the best way to show somebody something is, to start from extremes. So we have a 1-inch bit, roughly. I think this is about a 3/8, and then just a little fella here. The little bits by far get the most flack. If you are in a trade situation where production is the key, you're not going to see guys taking the time to muck around with a 1/8 or smaller drill bit. But don't let anybody tell you it can't be done. I will show you here briefly. The technique is a tiny bit different, but they can be salvaged because, us guys at home, well, we got budgets. All right, so I have 3 dulled bits. We're gonna do a variety just to show you what's possible with what you might have on hand. Of course, we have a belt sander here that we use for various things in the shop. This is probably gonna be the most likely candidate, bench grinder. And I have a special drill bit. If you hang around to the end of the video, I'm gonna show you that you can sharpen a drill bit virtually anywhere in any job situation with the limited tooling you have access to. It can be done anywhere, folks. It doesn't have to be done stationary at the shop. All right, we're gonna start with the big one here. This is a 1-inch diameter drill. It's gonna be loud, folks, but I will edit the volume down a hair. Of course, we're gonna use the wooden drill gauge because, well, that's what we built together. How do you determine the length of the cutting edge? Because you gotta eyeball this, folks. I mean, this isn't the drill doctor. If it's a 1-inch diameter, you know that cutting edge is roughly gonna be just over a 1/2 inch long because of the angle. So 118 degrees, roughly a 1/2 inch cutting edge. And well, you can never grind it too much. I mean, if you get down to here and you still haven't got it sharp, maybe you take up knitting. All right, you can kind of see the direction that it starts to go. You stop, you look at these 2 surfaces, right? You want them to be kind of equal as you come into the center. Should they be blue? No, a little cup of water would probably be your friend. You don't want to overheat a drill either. So we're gonna work our way to the center. Well, and heck, well, let's get it to where I think it's correct, and then we'll use the drill gauge. Let's see how close the spruce stomper gets with the eyeball technique. Now, it should look like one continuous surface when you look at it. The bigger the drill bit, the harder that is to do. I'm having flashbacks to trade school. That was one of the tasks we were in the very first year. Our instructor, Mr. Reinhard, would grind a drill bit of his choice off completely flat, and you had to bring it back to life. I did notice a trend. If you were a bit of a smartass in the class, you got a much bigger drill bit than everyone else. So before we measure this at all, how do you guys think I did? Leave your comments below. Let's try and drill a couple materials with it. Then we'll try our newfound friend, the drill gauge. All right, let's see how we did here. No pilot hole, just some plain old wood, cordless drill. Jammed up. Well, it definitely drilled the hole. What do we got here? If you can read that, burn your caliper, bang on 1 inch. All right, I'm gonna show you one last little trick. You can do this on any drill, but it works better on like 1 inch and up to make the drill just push through a little bit easier, a little bit of a relief. So I'll grind it and then I'll show you. All right, so if this will show up good enough, oh yeah, it's pretty shiny. Right there, this is the cutting edge, the sharp cutting edge, and this is the side opposite to it. We've just taken some of that web out in a relief cut with the edge of our grinding wheel. And what that does is it narrows up this cross section, so the center of the drill that isn't doing a lot of the cutting, you're more just pushing it through. There's less of it, and on bigger drills it makes quite a difference, especially if you just have a small drill press. I know it's not going to show up that good. Maybe I'll get a still photo of it and stick it in. All right, let's see how we did. So we rest that on there, run that up there. Pretty deadly on that side, fellas. And then what we'll do, because we haven't taken the time to draw any denominations, we're just going to mark the center point. You just need a reference mark. Don't overthink it. So there's that one. Do the flip. And there's that one. So we're deadly for the length, but if you can just see right through here, there's a whisper of light right there. So I'm off by a few degrees. Pretty good for the eyeball technique. As my granddad would say, good enough for the girls we go with. All right, fellas, this one is much smaller. We're gonna use the bench grinder, be a little quicker. What I want you to envision, just a couple of dry runs here, is follow, hard to find a camera angle that makes this make sense. Follow the direction of the spiral. If I move you back here, you're gonna see me move the drill. It's in a rotation. Like this. This is exaggerated, but you're following the spiral of the drill. Boy, you underestimate how hard it is to show something on camera. There we are. From dead flat to deadly. It'll look pretty even to me. Go with the drill gauge. Dead on. Dead on. And I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but they've come to that first denomination. So they're even. They're the right angle. Again, the heel at the backside here. This is, I'm overstressing it, but this has to be lower than the front. And it's good on both sides. And really, it's just about the eyeball, fellas. So again, equal length, cutting edge. If you got a real big drill, this is the area I was talking about there. You can knock this back a hair with the edge of the grinding stone to make it a little easier on you in your poor little 10-inch drill press like I have. The margin is the clearance of the body. If it's not cutting at all, and you take your vernier calipers out and you measure and you see that this is all flush, well, then it isn't you. It's just plumb wore out. The point angle at, and then of course, the clearance relief angle at roughly 12 degrees. Just make it lower, fellas. Just make it lower. All right, last but not least is gonna be your little tiny baby drills. Abandon your drill gauge, abandon what you think you just learned. This is where we go from nuts and bolts technicality to more of an art. And let's face it, most of us guys do a little bit better when there's less rules involved anyway. So I'm gonna show you how to sharpen one of these little fellas. Okay, so with a little drill like this, there is no rotation. There's hardly any movement of the drill because there's not enough meat there anyways. You're simply gonna go stab, stab, but you're looking for the same outcome. 2 equal length landings, the heel lower than the cutting edge. Well, and practice makes perfect. All right, chunk of 1/4 inch mild plate, 1 inch drill bit, hot off the grind. Can it be done? Like butter, fellas, like butter. Just gently touch those tiny drills. Don't rotate, don't muck around. Get them to even length. The other thing, telltale, that will show you if you got the 2 cutting edges, those leading faces of equal length, when you're drilling through your material and your spirals start to come out in steel or aluminum, if they are not coming out equally, equal lengths, equal shape, then the cutting faces aren't equal. You might have to go back to the drawing board. All right, let's grab a couple more tools, step outside and end this video on a interesting note. Appreciate you sticking along. Comments, thumbs up, subscribe. I hope that you enjoy this more hands-on content as we dive into the YouTube short series, Things Men Should Know, because fellas, not all of us had the privilege of growing up on the farm life. All right, folks, to end the video off, I thought I'd show you, you can sharpen a drill bit with limited equipment pretty much anywhere you are because, well, it's happened to me for sure. You don't always have access to a nice warm shop and a bench grinder. You're out in the field, you're doing something in a pinch, and once you master the skill set of sharpening a twist drill by eye and feel, give it enough time, you could probably sharpen one with just about anything you could find. So, thanks for watching. I always appreciate the feedback. I don't know what order the adventures are gonna come in, but I do know that they're gonna keep coming. Getting hot. Good thing there's snow on the ground. Looks like it'll do something. Imagine pulling that trick out on the job site. One of 2 things are gonna happen. Probably both. You'll be a hero, save the job because you only had 1 drill bit left, and have a nice meeting with the safety committee the next day. For the sake of your entertainment and my pride, hopefully this works. 3/8 drill bit, cordless drill, 1/4 inch plate. There's the hole we drilled with the little one. We'll move over. No pilots here, gentlemen. Just the real deal, the struggle. Well, I wouldn't say like a hot knife through butter, but it definitely drilled the hole. It would save the day in a pinch from flat back to a functional tool in the woods. Pretty sassy. If you're a young man watching, you pull that trick out on a first date, I'll tell you, you might just find yourself a keeper.